And we will now move to the Audit and Finance Commission report.
I do have a
from
report.
Trustee Humpher.
I'll apologize for the length. Actually, if I could read the agenda and just to give some idea of what I'm going to talk about tonight. We discussed potential early retirement for employees. We discussed the insurance program for the village of Carpentersville. This would be property and casualty insurance. We discussed lien procedures and administrative fees. We discussed a bank closure and its impact on the village on one of the village's investments. We also discussed the village investment policy during that time. And we discussed the Parks and Recreation Department that was been proposed, I believe, about a month ago. But to begin our meeting, we had a presentation from Mr. John Renner, a representative from the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund. He was invited to discuss a potential offering of an early retirement incentive program for Village of Carpentersville employees who meet specified criteria. The Audit and Finance Commission is considering ways of reducing headcount in an effort to balance the upcoming 2009-2010 budget, considering the repayment of a $10 million bond issuance that we sold several weeks ago. The bond is funding the capital improvement program for the village's streets, sidewalks, and underground utilities. No decision was reached, though, regarding the subject matter, and we basically learned some things and decided to hold off on taking any further action. I'm going to go into some of the comments about the insurance program. We met with the Owens Group. There are the village's insurance representatives, and they presented several options for a property and casualty insurance program. The Owens Group reported that based on initial responses from the market, we will probably see a decrease in insurance premium expense. Budgeted insurance costs for 2008 and 2009 liability coverage and property coverage is $905,000. If we select option 2, which is on the agenda later on tonight, the Owens Group estimates the premiums for liability and property coverage will be reduced to about $731,000, approximately $175,000 savings. The option 2 has a deductible of $50,000 and requires creation of a $200,000 loss fund, which is part of the $731,000 cost I mentioned earlier. The Owens Group believes the loss fund is sufficient to pay claims based on prior claims reported by the village. Included in the program is risk management services. And at the point of the meeting, the Owens Group had already met with each department director to gather information and discuss their concerns for risks that they consider potential for their department. They also plan to perform a human resources audit to determine if we have liability exposure in our hiring process. They plan to tailor a loss control program to help the village reduce workers' compensation claims and other liability claims across all departments. We reviewed the top 5 claims the village has encountered over the last 4 years and discussed what can be done to prevent future reoccurrences. After the presentation, we discussed the possibility of charging departments that use dollars in the loss fund in an effort to drive accountability for insurance claims. We are considering other options to try to reduce insurance costs through safety programs and other practices. Next on the agenda was a discussion with community development regarding lien procedures and administrative fees. Community Development Director Cindy McCamick discussed some of the activities her department has engaged in to deal with the increased number of foreclosures and abandoned houses in the village. She indicates CD works with several departments in the village and outside to deal with this growing problem. The police department is asked to assist in uninhabitable buildings where break-ins may occur. The finance department to assist with shutting off water and checking if there is water usage in homes that are abandoned. And banks to determine the status of houses and sometimes to find lien holders who own those houses. We discussed the processes used by CD to notify, that'd be community development, to notify homeowners of ordinance violations, which includes red tagging a home where a home is considered uninhabitable, and using door hangers for ordinance violations. These door hangers describe the ordinance violation, how long they have to fix the problem, a phone number to discuss the problem, and the code enforcement officer who wrote the violation. Finally, we discussed billings to lien holders for property maintenance. These properties are abandoned and lien holders are not caring for the property, negatively affecting neighborhoods in the village. Director McCamick and Finance Director Happ showed us the fee schedule located in the Village Municipal Code. As a refresher for the board members, the village imposes a lien processing fee of $200, a recording and release fee of $75, interest at 5% per year, and any amount due contractors for work performed, with the exception of the amount owed to contractors for work performed. These same fees are imposed on lien holders for the work performed by volunteers of the Carpentersville Improvement Committee, which Chairman Pat Schultz will discuss in a little bit. We learned from Director McCamick that in 2007, lien amounts filed were $13,589, with roughly a little over $6,000 collected. For 2008, though, lien amounts filed were $28,000, with a little more than $12,000 collected. Director McCamick disclosed that man-hours worked by volunteers of the Carpentersville Improvement Committee now exceed 210 hours. Next item is on a bank closure that has impacted our investments of the village. Carpentersville has been affected by bank closures. Recently, we learned that a bank from whom the village purchased a certificate of deposit closed its doors and went out of business on May 9th of this year. The CD amount is $350,000, and the CD was not collateralized. The village has already collected the FDIC insurable amount of $100,000. The village's current investment policy would be in violation with this purchase. However, when the CD was purchased in 2005, the village's investment policy did not cover collateralizing investments or keeping investments under $100,000 to fall within the FDIC insured amount. This investment loss was disclosed to our external auditors and will be recognized on the village's financial statements of April 30th, 2008 as a $250,000 loss. Any further collection of this bad debt can only be realized on our financial statements if we know collection is certain. Tonight, I contacted Congressman Bill Foster's office to ask if he could provide any assistance given the rescue package that was passed at the end of last week. In the rescue package, the FDIC insured amount is increased to $250,000. I hope he can help us with this investment that we lost. Lastly, the Commission discussed the idea being floated to create a Parks and Recreation Department in Carpentersville, replacing the role and work done by the Dundee Township Park District, among other items that were suggested for that new committee. The Dundee Township Park District Board of Commissioners President Frank Scarpelli attended our meeting to discuss where the Park District spends funds collected from Carpentersville residents. Mr. Scarpelli explained that there are 31 parks in Carpentersville, and the Park District maintains 26 of these parks, while the village maintains 5. The 26 parks reside in subdivisions and other areas spread throughout the village. The Park District looks at all parks in Dundee Township when determining where to allocate resources. Finally, we asked about the Park District taking over maintenance responsibility of Carpenter's Park, as was suggested. Mr. Scarpelli explained that an infrastructure investment by the village would be required for them to take it over. As an example, West Dundee invested $500,000 in infrastructure improvements in Graffelman Park before the Park District took over possession. This investment does not include bathrooms and fountains, which continue to be maintained by the village of West Dundee. In addition, we would have to get permission from the Park District to use Carpenter Park or any other park deeded over to the Park District. This concludes my report tonight, and I will try to answer any questions anyone may have. Thank you.